why I wasn't recording any of that.
You're a dick.
I am. Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing us together. Father, we ask that you come and you sit with us. Father, we ask that you take each one of us, Father, and you give us the peace of telling our story. Father, sit with Rob and I as we work through Stephanie's story to help support her. Father, we ask that her story reaches a soul. Not one soul can find the help that they need. Father, we ask all these things in your name. Amen. Let's go to work. There you go. At least you pulled the mic away that time. You didn't want me to say a bad word right after a prayer, did you?
No, because we gotta begin. We gotta do it right this time.
I'm getting better.
Hey, you are getting better. You are getting better.
What did we say? What did Jim say on the last one? I only had the least amount of fucks.
Okay.
I was setting you up for that. Right. I was setting you up.
We got this. I gotta give me a couple minutes here. It was brought to our attention. This is to the listeners. I talked to Jim earlier this week, and if you heard Jim's story, of which you haven't, go back and listen. His sister-in-law, the young lady who prayed, when they were all looking for Jim, he was getting ready to commit suicide. And all she prayed for was the gun to get jammed. The gun did not work, and it didn't. And so he was asking her, how did she like the podcast? And she's a very woman of faith. And she said, Jim, it was great, but I just couldn't get past it was hard to get past all the F-bombs. And I'm like, and even when I listened to it, Steph, I was creating like, Rob, come on. And so Jim went back and listened to it. And he said there was 58 F-bombs in 53 minutes. I had the most. Jim second. Larry third. So this is, the Bible says that our language needs to be full of gratitude, seasoned with salt, so that we can give, proper answers to those who need it. And it was seasoned, all right. It was seasoned. So our vow is we need to be better. We will be better. We're not perfect by any means, but what people don't know, with this young lady, Jim's sister-in-law doesn't know that took place. This is my recollection. I don't even think Mary knows, because I think Mary went to the bathroom. In between, and Jim had pulled out 2 crisp $100 bills. Gave one to me. I mean, so crisp, Stephanie, the ink was just barely dry. And he said, because Jim went back and listened to all our episodes, he goes, boys, I think we can beat that one. Because we had one that said no more F-bombs. And
that was the title of the show.
Yeah, that was the title of the show.
I remember.
So he said, and me and Larry never wanted to, not take a challenge or money. We did it. And then we talked later, and now Larry and I, we both feel bad about that. We can't give Jim back his money because we spent it on cocaine and booze.
But and it didn't go very far because booze has gotten expensive.
But what we vow to do, because of being, we recognize our part. The next time we see Jim for putting us up to that, we're going to tar and feather that motherfucker in the streets. Okay, I'm done.
We love you, Jim. That was a great episode. They got some traction.
There was a lot of...
There was a lot there, right?
We'll get better.
There was a lot there. No, I'm talking about the story, right? There was over... Jim must got a hell of a following up there, because there was over 85, I think, in Denver area itself, and Aurora had, 30 or 40 listens. It got some... That one was the first one, and I've said this many times, that mine, the very first one, had the most listens to. His blew right past mine. It blew right past it. So, and here's the other things. With Mary, right? With what Mary's been doing, everybody loves Mary. Hey, they had to make a movie that called that.
Something about
Mary. Anyways,
I don't think that's quite the same.
It's a little bit, Mary. Anyways, the show, the podcast, everything is just really starting to grow. The Instagram, I'm so happy that she's here with us, and I appreciate it, honey. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here. It's been fun.
Yeah. So we got a guest that Rob brought to us, and I'm so excited. Never met you before.
You heard how he corrected that, right?
What?
Brought to us.
Well, it's of course, because I'm talking, because you brought it, then it's us. If I'd have brought her, I'd have said I brought her.
That's right. I don't.
It's all about me, prick. You know this.
Hey, that's a good word. It's better than the F word.
I try not to use the F word. Anyways. So Stephanie, well, hold on. Let me back up.
You're supposed to let her introduce herself.
I know. Introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Stefani.
A little late, isn't it?
I am an alcoholic addict.
Hello, Stephanie.
Hello.
Tell us about yourself. First off, how do you know Rob?
I met Rob in the rooms. Actually, this is a funny story. Rob doesn't even know this. I met Rob at a book study in the rooms when he was doing the book study in the rooms of AA, right?
Thursday night?
Yeah.
Sorry.
And what Rob doesn't know is I was in the process of really struggling with my sponsor. I had a sponsor that was, I just wasn't making progress with her. We were doing a lot of like errand running and yeah. I was with her one day for about 5 hours and we didn't do a single ounce of step work. And so anyways, Rob, what I'm trying to get at is I went into the rooms and I had already gone in on my Saturday morning meeting and I had cried to the ladies and been like, I don't know what to do. I just want to get my step work done. And I went into that book study and I remember I went and I asked Christy, I said, hey, can I have a guy sponsor me? Because I freaking love the way you looked at that book and the way you did your book study. I was like, this man knows his shit, right?
Don't blow his head up, Stephanie.
I'm trying not to. But then I took it to the women's meeting the following week and I was like, can a man sponsor me? And everybody's like, well, I mean, it's not like ideal. And I'm like, okay, so, but yeah. I wanted you to be my sponsor for a little bit, but I got lucky. Well, no, I ended up getting someone that he took through the steps as my sponsor. So
Christy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Christy's awesome. She's been on the show too.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
So I got Christy when I totally scored.
Christy, and she's awesome. The funny thing is nowhere in the book does it say sponsorship, right? And
in the first 164.
We're in the first 164. And here's the frustrating part about that is I know so many women that should not be around men as getting a sponsor, but I've met many women that should have a man sponsor.
Or could.
Could, right? And you're one of them, right? Very strong, and very type A.
Christy was one of them.
Yeah, Christy was one. So they can use it. And there's some men that could probably use a woman as a sponsor.
Yeah.
You know
Jeanette
what I mean?
did.
Oh, she did?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Jeanette's first sponsor was a man.
Really?
Yeah.
Did not know
44 years ago.
You know what? And it goes back to what I've said all along. It's just who do you connect with, right? Yeah. Now, there's also that attraction thing that could hurt that a little bit, but I mean, who knows?
You know the story. The first woman I ever sponsored, she would cut my wife's hair. But I'd asked my sponsor at the time. She'd asked me. She goes, one thing she wouldn't ask my wife is, be okay if Rob sponsored me. And there was kind of a to-do, about all that, and I didn't. So my wife said, listen, and you both would, and he knows my wife, you both would love my wife. This was what she said. She says, I'm not an alcoholic, honey. And if I fucking was, I wouldn't have no woman as a sponsor because women are nothing but catty catty bitches. That's what she said. That's her quote.
It's
Amen.
So true.
So she goes, that woman asked you for help. She asked me for help, and you're going to help her because you've been given a gift.
Yeah.
Now, I eventually had to help this young lady learn to have healthy relationships and boundaries with women. And, now she has a woman sponsor.
Right.
But yeah.
But in the beginning, let's be honest, some of us women are pretty messed up with other women, like before we get through that step work.
For sure.
I mean, there's definitely
every situation has its own.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I've seen women like you. You were struggling. You were about ready to run out of it.
Well, Christy was too at a time. And so Christy asked me the same question. I said, well, I will sit down with you. And I know Christy's sponsor, who I love to death, and your sponsor. And I will do this part of it and show you how I do it. So because Christy's exactly what that fellowship needs.
Right.
Strong women.
Yep.
Who don't take shit from anybody, but do the deal.
I haven't got to see her in a little while. Of course,
and Steph's going to be the same way. Steph will be the same way.
How long? Well, let's go. Let's go and get into your story. We'll talk a little bit more.
All right. Oh man, where do I even start? I guess I'll just go back to. Okay, I won't take it too far back. I had a normal childhood, great childhood.
Okay. Where'd you grow up?
In Houston. I grew. Well, we moved.
Home of the Huskies.
Yeah.
Next door to Waterford.
We moved a few times. So I guess I didn't. Where do I begin? My biological dad was alcoholic addict. I saw him until I was, I don't know exactly how old I was whenever, one day we went for visitation. He got me like every other weekend, and he wasn't there. And he had gotten really heavy, really, really deep into his addiction and alcoholism. So that's when, I think he made the conscious decision to leave because he was afraid of putting me in harm's way. But a couple years down the road. So me and my mom moved a few times because she was a single mom. She was working as a correctional officer, graveyard shift. And, so my grandparents really stepped up. Everybody kind of put a hand in to help, get me where I needed to be. But we moved a few times, and then she met my dad, the guy I call my dad.
So how old were you when the last time you saw your biological dad?
To be honest, ballpark, probably, I want to say maybe 5.
Wow. Okay. All right.
I want to say, and that's even, it's almost like a dream, like,
right. Yeah.
You know,
right.
It's hard to really even remember. I have very, very few memories of that time. You know, a couple of them were crappy ones, a couple of them were good ones, you know, but it's kind of dreamy, like, but when I actually start remembering my childhood is when my dad came into my life, my stepdad.
Okay.
That man came in and filled any bit of a void that I could have ever possibly had. He adopted me.
Good for him.
He went through the process, adopted me. I took his last name.
So that's dad.
That's dad.
Damn right.
That's dad. So, but once he was around, you know, everything was great. Even before everything was great, my mom worked her ass off to make sure everything was fine, always, you know. But he definitely filled any bit of like void I had. So growing up, we were, you know, normal. We finally settled into Houston. It was good. Life was good. I was doing good in school.
About what grade?
We settled back into Houston. I was going into 8th grade.
Okay.
Yeah. I had started there when I was young, when it was just me and my mom. Then I had actually moved away because my parents decided to go and buy a house and, you know, do what they needed to do. But they ended up moving again back to Houston. So it was like reuniting with everyone I knew when I was in kindergarten.
Yeah.
So everything was good. I had a little brother that was 10 and a half years younger than me.
Okay.
That was my little guy. He was like, he was my own, like, he was like a live doll to me, you know? I mean, and we were at such different places in our life. There was never the competition. Like, it was just pure love for that kid. Always, you know, no jealousy, no nothing like that.
Enough separation there.
For sure. We were at completely different stages of our lives, you know? And things were great. I did well in school. I was one of those kids that like refused to do my homework, but I tested well enough to get by.
Yeah. Fuck you people.
Yeah. Yeah. Didn't have to, I could put in really minimal effort and I still did well. Like if I look back and I'm like, man, if only I just applied myself, you know, the possibilities. But so I did fine. But I grew up very insecure. I don't know if it stemmed from my dad. I really can't tell you where it stemmed from. I just remember my entire life being incredibly insecure and incredibly uncomfortable in my own skin. Just never really feeling like I fit in, you know? And so, like, when I would get attention from a guy, I would be so uncomfortable with it because I didn't feel like I deserved it, you know, that I would get like weird about it. I don't know. I just had a hard time like starting the dating process when my friends were like starting it. Like I just got really weird about it. And I just was like, I don't know. It just wasn't natural to me. It was odd. It was like, it was just a weird thing. I don't even know how to explain it.
When did you get into athletics?
My whole life.
Okay.
Yeah, I played travel softball my entire life. That could be part of the reason too, because that takes up your whole life.
Yeah.
You know, you don't really have time to.
Anything travel takes you.
Yeah, I mean, we were practicing 3 to 4 nights a week. Yeah, you know, and then tournaments every weekend, and we were traveling. So I mean, it was my whole life was consumed with sports, which also makes it hard to make like friends outside of your sports crew. Right. You know, so at school I felt kind of like weird, like I didn't really have like my core group. All these people were like hanging out outside of school, and those weren't my people, you know. So yeah, so my sophomore year, I remember I remember having this huge crush on this kid that was at my school, and eventually he was expelled. Right? He was expelled for something to do with pills, right? And so, which automatically just made him so much more attractive to me, right? Fucking awful. But yeah, so he was expelled. But somehow he got my number, and he had texted me one day and was like, "Hey, want to hang out?" And I'm like, Yes. Like, absolutely.
So you had no insecurity about that one?
I think I was too excited.
Okay.
I think I was just so, I again, didn't feel like
Right.
I thought that dude would have never even talked to me. You know what I mean? Like, that just wasn't in my scope, you know? And so he came and he had reached out, and I was just like in awe of the whole thing, you know?
And up to this point, no drinking, no drug. You're just regular high school
regular high school girl. This is my sophomore year. Yeah, didn't drink, didn't hide anything from my parents. It helps that my parents. So a little background on my family. My grandpa is retired deputy sheriff. Also lives in Houston. Very connected within the community. My mom worked for Houston School District.
And she was in corrections, right? You said?
And she was in corrections, so you can't get shit past her. And my dad worked for the city of Houston. So, like, I couldn't get away with anything even if I wanted to, right? And so, you know, I just didn't really push the limits on it. It was like, I don't really feel the need to. And plus, my mom and I had a pretty open relationship with each other. You know, if I was going to go do something, like go to a party or something, I would have told my mom, because she was like, she would have rather known than me be shady about it. So, yeah. So, I started seeing this guy, and my mom was excited for me because she saw how excited I was and everything, you know. And so we kind of just ignored the fact that he had just been expelled for, like, selling pills, right? Everyone just kind of got over that. And, yeah, we were dating. We went steady for my sophomore, junior, and senior year. My first relationship ever, and we were together, like, nonstop, you know. And in that time, he was definitely living more on the edge than I was. You know, he would go to his friend's house for beer pong, and he would go, and so he would take me with him. So I was starting to get exposed to more, like, partying, having fun, you know, just doing, I don't know, what high school kids do,
stuff.
you know? Yeah, it was just stuff that high school kids did, but it was new to me, and it was exciting, and I don't know, it was just being a kid, I guess. And so once I helped him get through. He ended up going to, like, a charter school. I helped him graduate because he would have given up. Like, he was over it, you know. And so I kind of helped him really stay on course. So once he graduated, he kind of, I don't know, I guess he kind of just started partying more and more and more. And I didn't notice that, you know, things were getting really, like, he was getting way deeper into things than I was even recognizing, because I had no experience recognizing any of it. He was acting kind of weird, and I come to find out, long story short, he was on pills again, right?
Again, do you know, did he stop at one point?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he did. He had for sure. Well, I mean.
Yeah.
I think so.
Right.
I think so. I got really close with his family and his sister and his parents, and they were all just so happy I was, you know, there and everything. And they were like, can we see such a huge difference in him? Like, he's amazing. So. I think he did stop for some time, but I think once all of his responsibilities were done and he had he had graduated, it just kind of was like, I can be me again, you know? So, yeah, so he started to kind of really withdraw from me, and I didn't understand why. And I was kind of just like, what are you doing? Why are you?
Is he older than you? Were you he was out of school?
I was still in school, yeah.
Okay.
He was 2 years, no, he was a year ahead of me.
So you're a senior, and he's out of school.
Yeah, I was a senior, he was out of school. And he was, like, really withdrawing from me, like, just even when we were together, not the same person. And I was like, what is going on, you know? And, yeah, so one day I started to try to, like, incorporate myself with his group more, because I'm thinking, like, maybe his friends don't like me. You know, I'm trying to think of what's wrong with me. It was the base of everything.
That's your insecurity coming in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Something has to be wrong with me because he doesn't want to be around me anymore. So what can I change, you know, was kind of where I went with it. And so I started trying to incorporate myself with, like, his crew more and hang out with them, and, you know, just started being in situations where I was like, I'm not totally comfortable here, but, you know, like, I love this guy, and obviously if this is who he wants to hang out with, then I'm here for it, you know? And I remember one day we went over to one of his friends' house, and we were sitting in the living room, And the guy, so my boyfriend at the time had gone into the bathroom to use the restroom. He was in there for a little while, right? I'm pretty sure he wasn't just using the restroom. And the guy that I'm sitting with pulls out a piece of foil with a pill on it and hits it right in front of me like it was no big deal. Like,
did you know what he was doing?
I mean, I could see it. I saw what he was, it was like it was just a normal
but did you know
day.
what it was?
Yeah, I could tell what it was.
Okay.
I could tell what it was. Yeah, it was a little blue pill. I could tell what it was. It was just very odd. I was
Wasn't
like, what
Viagra.
is he doing? No.
Dang, hold on. Does that work?
I don't know.
Does that work?
How the fuck would I know?
We got to try.
God damn it, Rob.
We got to take it aside. If I try that, do I lose my sobriety?
Yes.
If it's Viagra.
I'm going to tell you yes. Motherfucker.
All right, let's go back. Okay, never mind. Sorry.
So he pulls it out and he starts smoking a pill right in front of me like it was just a normal thing to do. And I remember in that moment getting very uncomfortable. And then I had that moment where it was like, well, I have one of two options here. I can leave and push the guy that I love further away because now I've made him feel uncomfortable with like his friend, or I can, because he went to hand it to me right after he did it.
Like for you to take a hit.
For me to take a hit. And
Peer
I was
pressure.
like, and I was just like, well, I got one of two options. And unfortunately, I took the latter of the two and I took it
Easy
and I
road.
hit it,
The easy road. Yeah.
And so.
Okay. What? I mean, so you are absolutely spotless at this point. What did it feel like? That's your first high.
No, but she'd had alcohol.
No,
I had alcohol.
this is an alcohol.
Okay.
But this is different. This is opioids.
I've
This is
never done that because I've done a few drugs, but I've never done any of that. What does that feel like? What is the attraction to that? Because for me, I always thought it just makes people, kind of sit there and count their heartbeats, which I like to go.
It was, yeah, have you ever, I'm sure you guys have seen the movies where you see like the heroin addicts shoot it and they're immediately just like,
Yeah, in ecstasy or
just
something.
your euphoria, immediate, right? And that was it.
Okay.
That was it. It was a good feeling.
Wow.
Right? I'm not going to sit here and say it wasn't.
No,
It was a good,
If it wasn't good, people wouldn't do it.
Right.
right.
Or be
It was
addictive.
a good feeling.
Don't try it at home, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Ladies
Don't
and
try
gentlemen.
this at home.
Ever try it.
Even if it is Viagra.
Yeah. So it felt really, it was like tingles all over. It started in like my hands and feet. And it was just, I don't know, it was just this lifted feeling. It was crazy. But then it was immediately followed by, what the hell did I just do?
Guilt.
Ooh.
It was guilt, immediate guilt. I was like, what the fuck? Like I just was just so disappointed in myself the minute I had done it. And so my boyfriend had walked out of the bathroom at that point. He had seen what had happened. He could tell what was going on. And he basically was like, hey, let's go. And I was like, okay. So we got in the car and we drove all the way home. We didn't speak a word to one another. Not a word. He dropped me off. I went inside. And then I think that our goal was to just pretend that it hadn't ever happened, right? Like that was my goal. I think that was his goal. Like we're just going to forget it ever happened. But the thing was, we had already, right at that exact moment, we crossed a line that you can't go back on. You know, I suddenly was less judgmental of other people's choices, right? I was like,
Ooh.
I don't know how to explain it.
I know
It was
exactly what you
just-
mean.
You lowered your bar.
I lowered
You
my
lowered
bar,
so
completely.
everything was okay after that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so and the other thing that came from it is I woke up the next day and I was fine. I wasn't like needing another pill. Like I woke up and I was totally fine.
Okay.
I was living my normal life. I wasn't like, oh God, I got to do that again. It was like just another day. Which looking back, I wish that it would have been
Consequences.
for it, because it was like, well, that was easy. I mean, shit, I thought addiction was like you just had a problem right away. And well, that's
The next day, you're under the bridge and
Right.
collecting tinfoil.
Right. Immediately.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Progressive.
yeah. Or I thought at the
Progressive.
very least I would wake up with serious cravings and I had none. Like I was just like, take it or leave it, So to make a long story short, we basically started, once he knew I had done it and I knew I had done it, he became more willing to like take me around different people, right? Because it was like I wasn't going to sit there
Relationship got
and-
better.
Yeah.
Right. And so we were finally improving. We were hanging out more. We were, all these things that I was hoping for. All the while, I am socially or occasionally, right, using drugs. right?
So these, any drugs, or are you back to
Oxys.
Oxys, heroin?
Oxys, basically heroin, right?
Yeah.
So oxys. And so I'm still noticing him in the same patterns again, right? And we were good for a little bit, and then I start noticing the same patterns where he's drifting, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? You know, like what is going on? And I was devastated. Again, devastated. So at this point I had graduated.
Scholarship for softball.
Yeah, softball.
To Sac State.
I went out there. I was living in the dorms. Everything was going great.
What position did you play?
First, primarily first. And I wasn't that great at offense, but I was a damn good defensive player.
Okay. So what did you bat in the lineup?
Usually about 6 or 7.
Okay.
I wasn't like there. I definitely wasn't the fourth hitter. I definitely wasn't the runner up because I wasn't, or I wasn't the lead off because I wasn't fast. You know, I mean, I got the ball in play, but I was like average. But my defense kicked ass, and I was a leader on the field.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So that got me, far.
I can imagine.
For sure.
Yeah. So I had gone off to school, and
did he stay in Houston?
He was in Turlock.
Okay.
Yeah, he was in Turlock the whole time. So he had stayed in Turlock. He was living with his grandparents. His parents had moved to Idaho, right? And he decided he wanted to stay because we were dating and everything. So he moved in with his grandparents. So whenever I went off to school, he was very upset about it because, I stayed here for you. Right? He got mad at me rather than being happy for me. And I was like, this is weird. That was kind of like my first sign of like, this guy doesn't really want what's best for me, why are you mad at me for going to school, So I basically just went off to school and we were drifting apart, but I was meeting new people and I was gaining new friendships and I was kind of getting to know myself better.
Well, you're getting older, maturing a little bit.
Yeah, and so I wasn't as devastated about the distancing, and I think it made it easier having like a geographical move.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't
For that
feel...
instance, I could see how it would be.
Well, and like
she wasn't completely addicted.
And
at
like
this
where my daughter's at, Emily, you got schoolwork, you've got...
It was very busy.
You're busy.
It was very busy.
You don't got a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. Very busy.
The separation from him was probably a good thing.
And it was because when we were living in next door towns and we still felt so separate, I was just living in like just so depressed because I'm like, why doesn't he want to be around me anymore, So once I moved, it was like, okay, well, if he doesn't want to be around me, it's because I live too far.
Right.
It was kind of my new excuse, right? And so I was like, So I'm making new friends. We're partying. We're, going out. We're doing what college girl dorm people do, right?
Which is pillow fights.
Well, yeah, right. But not searching for drugs.
No, absolutely not.
You weren't even remotely addicted.
No, not even close. Right. No, I had
but alcohol. Not
alcohol.
Addicted, but you were drinking.
So I was drinking, but
you
it was
having dorm room
was
games.
To be honest with you though,
pillow fights.
I was most often
Get it out of your head, Rob. God damn it. I see where your perverted mind is going over there. Stop it. I ignored you the first time. Jesus.
Sorry.
So I was most often the DD.
Okay.
Because I wasn't even really a fan of, drinking was okay, but I was like, I have as much fun sober, right? Like I'm one of those people that'll have fun either way. So I kind of just, was doing my own thing with my own people, but he would come out and he would visit me, occasionally. And at this point, I'm hiding it from my parents because my parents had recognized he was doing something not right, And so my mom was very much so like, you need to kind of like back off from this dude. Like something's not right here, Steph, tried to warn me.
Well, he had to be 21 at this time. 21, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I think he was, I was only 17 when I graduated.
Okay. All right.
So I was 17 through my entire, which is another reason why I was often DD because I didn't have like the fake ID or I couldn't get into the like same clubs as everybody else. So like I was just, I was so young my whole year, And so I just was, I don't know. My mom had warned me. I was hiding it from them. And then I would remember one day I was at my dorm and I got a call from a jail. And I was like completely just not expecting that, right? It was a collect call. Someone was trying to get a hold of me. So I hang up. I call my mom. I think it's my biological dad.
Oh,
right?
Wow. Okay.
Because I'm like, who the hell else in my life is going to go to jail, right? No, it wasn't. It was my boyfriend at the time. So my mom then finds out that he's in jail. So now she is like, cut that tie. Like, get away from that dude.
She's been through it.
yeah, she's like, get away from that dude right now, right? And so I kind of just let it drift apart, you know? I kind of just let the take its own course.
Right.
Yeah, because I felt him pulling away. I kind of was getting to be okay with that, you know? So I just kind of let it be. But all the while, I'm making these new friends, and these new friends are experimental and crazy. I tried, you know, I remember I went to a party one time. They had cocaine, tried it. Wasn't really a fan. Drinking occasionally.
You
missed that opportunity, Rob.
No, wait, because I'm not a fan of cocaine either. Fuck that shit. Sorry about the F-bomb, Mary. But I made methamphetamines is my, and Jack Daniels. Two of my favorite things. Sorry. We're getting there.
Okay.
So I tried coke, it was whatever. But again, woke up, no consequences. I woke up, went to class the next day, everything was fine. No sort of like cravings, no nothing. I wish to God I would have had cravings, because I probably would have been like, that's scary, but I didn't. So I tried stuff here and there, and so then I was playing softball. I blew out my knee. And I had
You're tapping your right leg, so that's your right knee.
Yeah, I was sliding into home, and the catcher like came down on it, and I blew up my ACL complete tear to my ACL.
Your freshman year?
Yeah.
Your first season?
Yeah, my first semester. I didn't even get through 2 semesters. So I blew out my knee. I had already applied for housing, but it was off campus, and I was just gonna like walk, because I had a truck, but it was expensive. I don't know. It just wasn't working out the way that I needed it to. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go back. I'm going to go to JC for a couple of years. We're going to do that route. I'll come back, you know, once I have my AA or whatever. So that's what I did. I went back to my parents' house, went to MJC.
That's associate's degree, not Alcoholics Anonymous.
Thank you for clarifying that, Rob.
Yes, I went back to my parents' house.
Did you lose your scholarship because of your knee?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. Yeah, once you're no use, they just kind of sign you off, you know, which is crazy.
How'd that make you feel?
I knew it was coming.
Okay.
I knew it was coming. I tried to play through it for a long time, but I mean, it just is what it is, you know?
It's weak.
You know, going into it, that what you're signing up for, though. I knew the minute I hurt my knee, I felt something really bad happen, and I tried to pretend like it wasn't as bad as it was, because I knew what was coming.
Gotcha.
You know, which sucks that's how it is, but that's just how it is, you know. And my academics, like I said, they were okay. I got by on academics, but like I certainly wasn't getting any sort of help academically, you know. Right. So I went back to MJC. Got signed up at MJC, started playing ball again after I had my surgery and everything, started playing ball again, was going to school for criminal justice. And I, one night was leaving campus, and I was raped on campus. It was late. We did a late night study hall, basically, with the softball team. I had parked out on the fields. Like, there's a little teeny parking lot by the baseball fields out here.
I know where you're at. I went to see you.
And I was parked in the back of it, because I got there, it was full, you know, in the back. And it's pretty dark over there at night, you know, especially, you know, however many years ago.
Not a great part of the neighborhood either.
It's not. Mm-mm. It's not. And they didn't have, I mean, they may now, but they didn't have cameras. They didn't have, you know, all the stuff that I'm sure that they've probably upgraded, you know, since. But yeah, it was, I was going to get in my car, and so I was sexually assaulted by 2 people. One basically held me down, and the other sexually assaulted me. And I was really scared. I would say like fear was the first feeling, but then it was embarrassed was the very next feeling that I felt from that. And I was not in a position to want to go to law enforcement with it. I was very uncomfortable with it. And I knew if I brought it to my family, that would be their immediate, we need to go make a report, you know? I didn't know who these people were. I didn't know if they'd been watching me. I didn't know how much they knew about me. I was just scared, and I wasn't comfortable.
You didn't tell anybody?
I didn't tell a soul.
Just carried it.
I carried it. So, but then what happened was my parents were still expecting me to be gone at school this many hours a day. So what am I doing? Going and finding people that have nothing to do for, X amount of hours throughout the day. And I ended up in Waterford.
Nice.
Methamphetamines.
I ended up in Waterford, and I met a little crew over here that didn't have jobs, didn't have school, didn't have anything going, and they were free to hang out all day long. But unfortunately, they were doing a lot of pills, a lot of, drugs, a lot of...
Welcome to Waterford, baby.
Yeah. And so I was, and I felt like every time, kind of like I said, how I had crossed that line, that first time, every time I was exposed to something new, it was like you couldn't go back.
Right. You can't unring the bell.
No, you can't. And the bar just kept going down.
Yeah.
Real quick before you go on, because you were going to school, after you were assaulted, you didn't go back to school.
I didn't go back.
You said,
I said,
I'm
fuck
done.
that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I did not go back to that school. I didn't go back to, for nothing.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing. I was done. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So after you were assaulted, because I come from law enforcement, similar to your background family-wise, how was it more you said embarrassment, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Was it because you came from like an LE family and you're like, I should have known better? Or was it like, fuck this, I'm not telling my family because I don't want to make the report. I don't want to deal with this right now.
I think it was, I think part of it was I knew my life at that point. I knew I didn't want to ever have to go back to that same school again.
Right.
And I know that my family always wants what's best for me. And the thought of me now, not just dropping out of a 4-year, but dropping out of a JC would have been very hard pill for them to swallow.
Because they watched you lower that bar twice now.
Right. And so, and I'm not saying that they would have pushed me to go. By no means would they have expected me to go back necessarily. But
do you think you missed the support if you would have opened up?
Oh, absolutely.
They would have supported.
Looking back for sure. Yeah. But in that moment, it's weird. You kind of just,
well, and you're still fighting with your insecurities at that age too.
And not to put it on you should have known better, but I feel like there's a different degree when you come from law enforcement. You're held a higher standard because
it's a little bit
so raised to be hyper.
To be aware. You don't put your back to the doors and you don't. Yeah.
And a lot of these times, thank you for going to that, Mary. Did you feel at a certain level, this was kind of your fault? A lot of women, people I've worked with, and I don't know why, but they should have known better. They shouldn't have put themselves in that position. No way is it your fault, but
I didn't really feel at fault.
Good.
I didn't feel at fault, and I didn't feel like I could have done anything differently necessarily. I didn't really do the self-blame.
But you didn't feel safe in that space anymore.
I was very scared in that space at that point. Yeah, I was just really, really scared. And I looking back, like I said, I would have been nothing but love and support from my family. But in that moment, for whatever reason, I think I was more or less in fear of having to go make a report on it because I didn't know who these people were. And I didn't know how much they knew about me. I didn't know, and you immediately go to the worst. These people have probably been watching me, and God knows what they know about me. They don't, and I was just scared. Yeah.
So you end up in Waterford.
With a crew that was,
winners.
Yeah.
I probably knew them all.
Yeah. Real winners. I'll tell you names off air and you can see if you recognize any of them. But so they were partying more regularly, and I was just meeting more people again, but not people with ambition like I was meeting when I went to college. It was people with opposite, they were just not living a life.
When did you get introduced to methamphetamines? Is that Waterford?
No. So I know, surprisingly.
Don't be bashing on my town, bitch.
I'm just working questions, buddy.
You wanting to throw Waterford under the bus?
No, Waterford was still pills. Waterford was still a lot of pills. I think people were doing a little bit more, but I think I put blinders on a lot of times.
It was heavy, and like I said, I was coaching high school football during that period of time that she's talking about. Right. Pills were heavy.
Very heavy.
We were dealing with a lot of it. Yeah.
But expensive.
Yeah.
Expensive. So yeah. So anyways, I was with these people, you know, and kind of just meeting new people. And every time I met these new people, I felt like they were like more and more shady. Like they were always disappearing to the bathroom or, you know, like just doing weird shit that I'm like, what are you guys, what's going on right now? You know? But I just kind of, I think chose to like put blinders on when I needed to, just to kind of keep myself comfortable where I was, you know, because I didn't know where else to go or what else to do at that point, you know. Yeah.
Where was your alcohol level at this point?
So I'll be honest with you, alcohol has never, to this day, has never been my kryptonite by any means. I have made a conscious decision in sobriety to not go on that slippery slope anymore. I'm active in AA because of that exact reason. I like the accountability of AA, you know. I don't feel, I've learned enough getting sober and to know that our brains are wired different. You know, so I just wouldn't even risk it. But alcohol wasn't really my thing. Kristen Lovejoy, my grandpa's Marvin Harper. If you're law enforcement, you might know that. Do you know Marvin Harper?
Yeah.
You do? Were you arrested? Did he arrest you?
No.
Oh.
That name does sound familiar.
He was a coach. He coached me.
Oh, yeah. He was a coach for a lot of years.
Marvin coached me in football.
Yeah. He's amazing.
Yeah, he was a great man.
He is
Marvin
an
Harper.
amazing
What a good man.
Yeah. Yeah. He's an inspiration for sure.
You played football?
Yeah.
Were you the football?
No. I was the safety and the running back.
Oh, maybe they just tossed you around.
Yeah. So, so these people, I went to a party in Turlock with them, and I got introduced to a different group that was from Escalon. And not Escalon. Sorry. Riverbank and Escalon. It was kind of a mix. And one of them there, you know, was into me, and we were talking and hanging out and everything. And I don't know, I had lowered my standards at that point so low that like I wasn't really noticing all the red flags I probably should have noticed from the start, you know. But yeah, I basically just started seeing this guy, and him and that other guy that I was talking to you about. One day we were at a party, and they were like, hey, can you drive us over here? We want to get some weed. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine, right? I have the car, which is convenient for everyone, right? So I'm like, yeah, no problem. So we drive over here, and we come over here. I think we came to Waterford, actually, to buy weed, I thought, right? And so we drive back, and we get back to Turlock, and I'm like, I didn't smoke weed, so I wasn't even interested anyways.
I don't blame you. Shit.
Not a fan.
Plant.
I never was.
Not a fan.
I was but I'm going off the rails here, but I never could understand the oxy and that kind of stuff either, because we like to go up, but everybody, you know, I was a cocaine head. I was an 80s child, right? I loved my cocaine back in high school. I used to play a mean game of football while wired out of my brain. I never could understand the guys that would do a bunch of cocaine and then smoke weed. Used to piss me off, quite honestly.
What a waste.
But I never understood the oxy stuff whenever I found out the kids were doing it during football games and shit. And I'm like, how the fuck do you do? I take one and I'm ready to sleep for 3 days.
So you know what it was with me is I to this day have been asked a lot of times if I might have ADHD.
Okay.
Because for me, I got like really like social and really I wasn't the type to go to sleep or to nod off or anything like that. I just got really you were drinking. I got confidence
like you were
from
drinking.
oxys. Yeah. That was the best thing for me is I gained that confidence that I did not have. Like I was drinking.
That was her alcohol.
It was my alcohol, right?
For sure.
So what did you pick up from Waterford?
So come to find out, it was heroin.
Oh.
It was heroin that we had came to get. And so we got back over to Turlock, to the party we were at. We were hanging out at this guy's house, and the guy I was dating kind of disappeared into the back room with the other guy that we were talking about. And I was like, where'd they go? Like, what? Because I was thinking they were just smoking weed. Like, I'm like, why are you guys disappearing to smoke weed? So I go walking back there, and they're smoking foil. And I'm thinking, oh my God, these dudes really have pills like this. Because the guy's house we were at was a total square. Like, he was stressed out about beer pong in the backyard, right? And I'm like, what are you guys doing, right? Like, you guys are not smoking pills but the smell.
Wasn't pills.
the smell was not pills. I was like, what is that?
Wow.
Black tar heroin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was like, what
little different
is
smell,
that, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh. And I walked in and they were like they didn't really, jump, but they weren't like, they were just doing their thing. And then the guy I was dating was like, oh, hey, and walked out and kind of like, just brushed by me and walked out. And then the other guy was like, hey, come here. And I was like, what are you smoking? And he's like, oh, it's heroin. And I'm like, floored because again, never exposed to it, never thought I would be exposed to it. That just wasn't in my...
That's the lowest of the lowest. To me,
that's
in my wheelhouse.
That's what we always thought too.
Yeah. In my wheelhouse, that's the lowest of low.
For sure.
Right. I mean,
For
you can't get it. First you smoke it, then you shoot it. That's the lowest of the low.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you did.
Yeah. So
and what was the difference feeling this than the pill?
It was exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
It
Cheaper,
was exactly the same.
Cheaper though.
But a hell of a lot cheaper.
Yeah. That's what most people go to heroin.
Okay. It was exactly the same. And that's how he sold me on it. Is he's like, oh shit, if you've smoked oxys, he's all, try this. He's all, same shit. And I was like, okay. Yeah.
He seems trustworthy.
It's alley oxy is all it is. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, why not? And so I did. Big mistake, obviously. But tried it. And yeah, but then, so come to find out, the guy I was hanging out with that I was, seeing, he was like, hey, do you want to come back to my house with me? We'd been hanging out for at least a couple of weeks at this point, but we'd never been to his place or my place because I don't really take anyone to my place because my parents would have lost their shit, So I ended up going with him to his house. Well, come to find out, his dad is a meth head that lives like in and out of the house, but mostly in a shed in the backyard at like all hours of the night.
Like you do.
Right. And his
with
mom,
a headlight on working on cars.
Yeah. And his mom struggled heavy with alcohol. And he had no like parental.
No supervision whatsoever.
None. His house was the house that everyone would go to when they wanted to use drugs. His dad would sit there, hit the pipe, and hand it to him. His dad put a needle in his arm. No, that was in Riverbank.
Okay.
His dad put a needle in his arm the first time he ever tried it so that he could teach him how to... The dad is alive. The son is dead.
Oh, fuck.
Cockroaches live forever.
Yeah. Amen to that.
The son is dead.
How old are you at this point?
I think 19.
Okay. And your parents still think you're going to school and you're not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Living this whole double life, dude, right? So at this point, I'm noticing that like I can't really continue to like live this, right? So I just start drifting from my parents because I still wasn't ready to face. I still wasn't ready to face the, the truth of what had happened. Plus, at this point, now I'm disappointed in myself and I'm feeling really shameful and guilty, and I just wasn't ready to, and I just kind of just started just drifting away. I basically did to my parents what that guy had done to me. But at the time, I didn't realize I was doing that. I thought I was protecting their feelings,
right.
And so I started staying over there with him. And I remember, it's so crazy how drug addicts have this like hierarchy, right? Of like how low you are depending on what type of drug you do, right? So like his dad, the same guy we were just discussing that put a needle in his arm to shoot him up with dope to teach him how to steal. God forbid he caught him smoking heroin, right? Then it was like...
If he caught his son smoking, he's disappointed.
How was he supposed... Oh, shoot it.
But no, his dad only did meth.
His dad shot him up with meth.
His dad did meth, and meth was okay. Meth, bring all your friends, we could all do meth together, but like, God forbid you touch heroin, right?
You know why? Because with booze, you lose. With dope, you got hope.
You're a sick individual. You need to go back and read it.
That was a saying from one of the guys that was one of his sayings.
I believe it.
Either you do it or it does you. Eventually, it does you.
Right.
Right. But that's the shit you tell yourself when you're.
His dad was so twisted up in his head that it's funny how intelligent he really was. Like, he was a smooth talker, could get his way in anywhere, like very, very smooth, charismatic type of guy. but just used it to for all the wrong reasons, used it to get over on people and everything. And so I don't know, he just had this way of making you feel so low for doing, anything other than dope or meth. I guess I should clarify here. Anything other than meth, right? So I remember the guy I was dating and his dad getting into multiple knockdown, drag out fights in the house. The mom screaming, drunk, just a mess, chaos in that house, right?
You're in the middle of it.
Yeah, and I'm in the middle of it. And at this point, I'm so withdrawn from my own family, and I don't want to have to go back and tell them oh man, this is how my life has gone. That I'm just well, here we are. Let me live. It is what it is, And so I just kind of was just getting to be more and more used to it.
But you hadn't done meth at this time?
No, actually. So we started out, we were just doing heroin. And I remember the first time I walked out into the shed and his dad was sitting there, and I'd never seen meth before, right? I'd never seen a meth pipe. I'd only on TV and stuff, right? And his dad pulls out a meth pipe, and there's a group of probably 6 or 8 people in there, right? And his dad pulls out a meth pipe, hits it, and he hands it to the guy I was dating, his son. And I started crying, and I walked out. I was so devastated by that, because I was here goes another thing, just what am I doing? I just, the sheer, just is this really where my life is right now?
You had enough stability in your life to realize where you were at.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, that you were just.
For sure. Yeah. I knew normal.
Right.
This wasn't my upbringing.
No.
I knew normal, and I knew not normal, and I knew I was not in the normal at that point in time.
What changed after you walked out crying?
I walked out crying. He followed me out with the pipe, and then we had a jacuzzi, and he's like, "Get in," and I'm like, "Okay, fine." So I get in the jacuzzi, and I'm crying, and he's sitting there. I didn't know he had the pipe on him at the time. I thought he just came out to make me feel better, and I was like, "Man, what are you doing?"
He did, in a sense,
right. And so I'm like, "What are you doing? Why? What are you Why? Why are we, what are you doing?" And he's like, just try it. And if I had a penny for every time somebody said, "I'll just try it," and then all of a sudden.
You've already done XYZ. Why not?
I mean, and that was my rationalization.
That's how we do it. That's how we sell it.
At that point,
minimize, and justify.
Absolutely. At that point, I'm like, well, shit, I've done heroin. Right. The fuck this is nothing, what? So I tried it. And I don't really know that I got the same type of high that some people get. I remember feeling different, but I was also on heroin. So I think it was more of just a balancing. I felt a little bit of something, but it was more of just kind of a
balance.
Right. I didn't really feel anything great. It wasn't a big old aha moment, but what it did is it crossed that line, and now I was willing to do it, if I was around it, because I had done it. And so, so I ended up getting pregnant when I was with him. And let me back up a little bit. So this is ironic. Him and I started dating, and one of the times that we went into Modesto to our drug dealer's house to get heroin, we ran into the guy that I was dating in high school. And he was there trapping out of the trap house, right? And I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Now I know why you pulled away. You were on freaking heroin, right? And so
you piece of shit.
Yeah. So he was pissed at the guy I was with, right? Because I will say, I will give credit where credit's due as far as this guy goes. Even in his worst of days, he did not want to drag me to those places. He saw that I had potential to do so much better than that, which is why he would start to just pull away.
The same reason you pulled away. You said you pulled away.
I pulled away from my parents
to protect them. Maybe that's what he was doing.
That's what he was doing with me. So when he saw this guy walk in proudly, holding my hand to walk into a heroin dealer's house, he beat the living hell out of the guy I was dating. I mean, beat the living hell out of that dude. And I was like, well, what now? What the fuck? Right. Thanks, and what the fuck, And so, so anyways, I got pregnant. And right around when I found out, my parents showed up to the house I was at, banging on the door. The guy I was dating in high school had Facebook messaged my mom.
Oh, shit.
And said, you need to go get your daughter right now. She's on heroin. She is not doing well. He had Facebook messaged my mom. And my mom's, talking to her now, looking back, she didn't believe him. She was like, you're fucking out of your mind. What?
She's a good girl. She goes to school every day.
Right. Yeah. She was just completely just didn't even believe him. She thought he was on drugs and he was like making shit up at that point, you know? And so, but nonetheless, my parents showed up after his mom had made a drunk phone call to my mom to tell her about the choices we were making. So that confirmed what she had already heard from.
So now she believes.
Now she's heard it twice.
Mom was on her way.
So they came. They basically interventioned my ass, which was great because
at
I
the drug
just
dealer's
found
house.
out. No, at the guy I was dating.
Gotcha.
Him and his dad's like.
Well, that's the meth house.
I mean, it wasn't a good house.
Right.
It was a meth house. My mom, but I just found out I was pregnant, and I was like, you know what, this is perfect. Like I should go. You know, so my parents put me into Maynard's.
Go figure.
Yeah, went to Maynard's. Beautiful. Loved it. But the whole time, you know what? Wait. I was not pregnant yet. I just thought about that. I was not pregnant yet.
So you got
They interventioned me and took me to Maynard's and I was not pregnant. I broke out after about 2 weeks at Maynard's. He came and picked me up in the middle of the night, right? And I broke out, went back to his house, was doing the same shit again for about another, not very long. Then I found out I was pregnant. Then I contacted my parents and was like, I'm pregnant. That's how it went. I'm pregnant. I need help, you know? And so then I got put into freaking Nirvana, right? Which is no Maynard's.
No, far from it.
I was expecting to go live luxuriously again, and it was not that, you know? It was not that, but I actually graduated from there. And I stayed clean and sober. And I stayed sober through my pregnancy, but you know, he was still trying to contact me because obviously I was pregnant with his kid, you know, and my parents were like, absolutely not. You're not going to contact. We are not. I don't care who his dad is. We're not doing it, you know? So I had my son, his name was Brecken. And man, I loved that boy.
How old were you when you had
20? I was pregnant when I was 20 and I had him when I was 21.
Okay.
And that was a love that I'd never felt before. I went back home from the hospital to my parents' house. They opened their doors, you know, they were having me back. But my mom had set an ultimatum, basically, where she said, you can be here. You and your son are absolutely welcome here. You will have no contact with his father.
Right.
But I was getting the constant nagging, not just from him, but from his drunk mom, from his,
wanting to see your grandson,
you know, and it just got really exhausting having to continually disappoint people and be like, I can't, you know? And so I caved and I said, you know, okay, fine. So I told him, I said, I'm not going to go live in that house with you. If you want to see your son, you need to get us in a safer environment because I am not taking him to that house. And so he said, okay, we can move in with my stepdad. So the mom had been married to his dad, divorced and remarried to a different guy, and then divorced that guy and gone back to dad again.
Sweet.
Yeah. So he had his stepdad, but they weren't still, you know, together. And so he said, we can go to my stepdad's house. Also did meth, but was much more responsible about it, right?
What the fuck?
I know. I know. So, you know, I was like, okay. And so
what did mom and dad think of that?
My mom and dad?
Yeah.
They cut me out.
Okay.
Yeah.
They cut me out. You know, when my parents set a ultimatum, they mean it.
That's good.
You know, they don't mess around. If they say something, that's what it is. And they are not the type of parents that ever enable or any of that, like
love.
Right. They were very much so firm in their shit. And I knew what I was doing when I left and I took that chance, you know, and it was an awful decision, but you know, you're not making the best decisions whenever you're, you know, fresh postpartum and no, I was still sober. But going back to
that environment, you're not
that
gonna stay
environment,
that way.
I didn't stay that way. You know, it took a little bit. It took a little time, but I eventually ended up doing heroin again, doing meth again. You know, and just not doing the things that I should have been doing as a mom. So one day so he got arrested. We were in Escalon, and he got arrested for, my son's dad got arrested for stealing from the freaking dollar store. Stupid move. And got taken to jail, San Joaquin County Jail, but he was already on probation. He'd been arrested like 100 times, so they kept him. It wasn't just like a, cite and release type thing. They kept him. He was in there, and he was going to be serving, not a long time, but a little bit of time. And I got home one day, and I had my son with me, and I don't remember where we went, but we got home, and somebody knocked on the door, and I'm like, who's here? Because nobody ever came to the house. I opened the door, and it's a CPS worker and a sheriff or a police officer, one of the two. And they said, hey, I'm, officer so-and-so, and this is someone from CPS, and we're going to have to take your son. And I just lost it. Just fucking lost it. And I was like, what do you mean you can take my son? I haven't been given any type of warning or any. And they said it's called an emergency ex parte petition. Your parents filed for it. We are taking your son. He was about 6 months old.
Wow.
6 months old. And, man, I was just fucking devastated because even though I wasn't making great choices, that little boy came before anything else in my life, which is a weird thing to say because I was making awful decisions, but I would have given up anything. If someone had came to me and said, hey, this is what you're risking, I would have given up anything at that exact moment. But I didn't get that luxury. Instead, I got them coming and saying, hey, this is already a done deal. We're taking him.
So when your parents, hold on, I'm going to back up. I'm going to play devil's advocate just for a moment. So when your parents, they sent you went to live with your boyfriend, mm-hmm. and they basically said, that's it. We're done with you.
We're done.
Right. That wasn't any kind of indication to you at that point. Well, fuck, maybe I'm going down a bad road.
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
And like I said, I knew what I was getting in. I did
you
not.
Didn't think
what
you had
I
a
didn't
risk
think
of losing your son.
No, I didn't think that they would do it without at least saying something. I did not expect them to just flat go to the courts and it be a done deal.
Right.
That was not what I was expecting. I didn't even know an emergency ex parte petition existed. I thought, if anything, they could start a CPS case on me and then I could get my shit together, but I would still have my son.
Right.
Were they seeing your son while you were living with your boyfriend?
No, because they had cut ties with me. We cut contact.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. They cut contact, and so I immediately am on the phone with my mom, and I'm.
So did they take Brecken right then? They took him, and then you got on the phone.
I was loading him in his car seat, and I'm already calling my mom to load him up to get ready to leave with them.
And were they taking your son to your grandparents? To my parents. To your parents' house.
To my parents' house. And I called my mom, and I'm hysterical, and I said, please let me come home. I will never speak to this man again. You could take my phone. You could take everything. I need to be with my son. I promise you, I will not have contact with these people anymore. Please let me come home. And my mom was crying on the other end of the line, and she said, honey, I can't. And it was, part of the court ordered. If I am a threat, an immediate threat to my son, they cannot house me if that's what they're saying in court,
Right.
So that moment was absolutely devastating, but that was the moment I was like, all right, this is it. I'm going to get my shit together. I don't give a shit what I have to do. But then so the stepdad that I was staying with, now it's just him and I, because the guy I was dating had gone to jail, right? So it was just him and I. He came home that day and he said, hey, this looks really weird. I can't have you here. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's all, you don't have the baby anymore. I'm a single guy. I can't have you here. And I was like, where am I supposed to go? He's all, that's not my problem. So he gave me about $60 and drove me, or no, I may have had, I don't remember if I had my car or not. Somehow I got to, no, I did have my car. He gave me about $60 and was like, good luck, and I couldn't go home and I didn't know where to go. And so I found the cheapest hotel I could in Modesto to go put myself up for the night. I wasn't ready for homelessness yet. And so I ended up at the Tiki Motel on McHenry.
Oh, yeah.
With enough to pay for the room for one night and no clue how I was going to make it after that at that point, and that was the start of a real downward spiral for me. So I got the room. I stayed there, was scared shitless because I, again, was not raised in this shit, I was not cut out for the streets. I was not cut out for, any of this. I wasn't street smart. I had people that were pacing my room.
Oh, I bet.
Just pacing. I could see him outside of the window, just pacing. And I was just scared. I was so scared. But I was still using, because at that point, it hadn't really developed into a physical need, but I think at that point, that was when I started numbing. That was the shift for me, was when I started using to numb the pain. Because I just was like, I felt like I had no purpose anymore. There was nothing holding me to want to be better. But I did look forward to my court dates and I did look forward to everything to try to fight it. But I was really struggling. I was on the streets, I went to a couple of court dates and I kept, putting myself out there and trying. And then I came to the realization one day that I'm fighting to bring a child into a life that he doesn't deserve. I'm fighting to pull him out of a stable environment where there's nothing but love, to bring him to live on the streets with me and to struggle to survive. What kind of mother would I be if I did that, And that was a really, really, really hard thing to accept and to come to terms with. And then it just went really bad because I stopped going to court. I stopped fighting. In
every sense of the word, you stopped fighting.
I stopped fighting. I just gave up. So at this point, my addiction is heavy.
Just heroin or heroin, meth, whatever.
Heroin, anything I could get my fucking hands on.
Anything to numb it.
Anything I could get my fucking hands on.
Right.
I tried fucking lots of things. Heroin was a dead given. I had to have it because I was physically very dependent on it. But other than that, I would get anything that came my way, whatever they'd throw my way. Meanwhile, I'm not a good criminal. I don't know how to make money on the streets. I'm not good at stealing. I'm not good at anything, that has anything to do with survival. And so I'm just kind of bouncing from place to place. It was a good thing I was cute and I was young, and I just kind of would just fall in where but there would be someone that'd be like, hey, come in my room, let's hang out, not in any type of weird way. It was just people enjoyed having me around. I had a kind of a bubbly personality still. I wasn't totally I still was friendly and I was
fallen completely apart.
I hadn't completely fallen apart. And I think people enjoyed just having something different around, and so I was just kind of bouncing around place to place, but still scared because I had people, whenever you're not raised in that lifestyle and you're suddenly exposed to the fullest degree to it, you are targeted hard.
Oh, I bet.
You are targeted hard by some really, really, really vicious people. And so I just felt like I was so tired because I never slept. I would lay down. But when I say sleeping with one eye open, I really, really I couldn't even relax at any point in time enough to be able to just regroup. I was just always on edge and always, cautious and aware of my surroundings. And you know, just very, very on edge all the time. So after, you know, months of that, I was getting worn down, like just fucking worn down, exhausted, and desperate at this point to get out of this cycle of like waking up.
Have you tried anything at this point to get out of it, or were you just so buried into it?
Oh, I was buried.
Yeah, so you weren't trying to reach out.
Just surviving.
Hell no, I was just in survival mode.
Well, I think this goes back to like what we talk about. God, please take this bottle from me, right?
I didn't do, but yeah.
But because we didn't do any actions, right? You're in the same boat. You wanted out.
I wanted out, but it just seemed unreachable.
Right.
What
I
did
know that feeling.
What did it take? It took something, because here you are.
So I ended up finding a sense of security in all the wrong places. I met a guy that really glamorized the idea of basically that I'm sitting on something that can make me a lot of money, right?
Oh,
Here it comes.
Okay, I got you.
He's like, why would you ever struggle like this? Why? Why would you struggle like that? You are so dumb for even going through this struggle right now. Why are you stealing? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? You are sitting on a friggin' moneymaker. And I was like, desperate. I was desperate at this point to just have a secure place to sleep. I was hungry. I was tired. I was just desperate. And the idea of, you know, performing one act and being set up in a hotel room for 2 weeks was very appealing at that moment.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
I can see that.
It was very appealing at that moment because I was so tired. So he really glamorized it. Made it seem like it's like I was crazy for not doing it.
What's wrong with you?
Right. Like I was so dumb for not like utilizing my assets. And so I remember I allowed him to post me online. There was a lot of online platforms. And there we go again, cross that line. You don't go back. You know,
Bar lowered again.
Bar lowered again.
But how many times have we said that? Well, we've already done X, Y, Z.
Right.
You know what? Might as well.
Right.
Yeah.
The fuckets.
Yeah.
Yep.
Your bucket full of fuckets. You know.
Yeah.
Sorry about the F word, but that's what we call them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here's all my fuckets. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
So that bar was lowered, and I remember, you know, the first time I met somebody I was very high. That was probably the most drugs I've ever consumed in one period
Just to
of
get
time.
through that.
Just to get through the experience, you know. And after I had that same disgusted feeling I had the first time I ever tried that pill, you know, just that like, what the fuck, you know. But instead of, you know, that sticking, the instant gratification of, oh my God, I can now sleep.
Right.
I have a place to sleep for 2 weeks. I don't have to move all of my shit and walk miles to the next, you know, like I can live here for 2 weeks right now.
And sleep and shower and get
sleep and shower and just fucking be okay and safe. Just be safe. And so it was a range of emotions. It was disappointment, and then it was, wow, that was actually not as bad as I thought it was.
Yeah,
you know?
There it is.
You know, I just immediately was just like, wow, that, you know, in comparison to having to run around all day and steal and lie and, you know, like it just was, it was a weird thing that I went through emotionally. So that guy kind of just tagged along, stuck around. It was also a place for him. He, you know, put it as like, hey, well, you know, I'll keep you safe and you don't know who these people are and I'll kind of keep an eye out on you. But really, he just wanted a free place to like tote along and free drugs, right?
He got a place to stay
was benefiting,
as well.
you know, as well. But he wasn't violent and he wasn't aggressive and he wasn't anything. He was just kind of like the one that just planted the seed, I guess you can say.
So he was like a John?
No.
He was a pimp.
He was a pimp, but he wasn't taking my money. He was more like a freeloader.
He was a freeloader.
He was a freeloader. He was the one that planted the idea in my head and kind of planted the seed and was like, hey.
And did the computer work?
Yeah, he did my site for me, and he kind of did all the stuff, and so he protected me, and I'm doing that in air quotes because it's like really, I mean, but he was a freeloader.
Okay.
It was easy money for him too,
Was it like other women too, or were you just like,
me?
Okay.
It was just me.
You were special.
Yeah. Yeah, hand selected. No, it was just me. And then so that lasted for a little bit. And eventually I became so numb to the act itself that kind of just like drugs and anything else, that's just part of that is how I was surviving at that point. That was how I was surviving. So I'm going to try to remember some of this stuff. Some of this stuff, like I said, is very, very almost like a dreamlike state.
How long have you been sober right now?
6 months.
Okay. Sorry.
Today.
6 months today.
That's fine.
6 months today.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And steps done.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I forgot that was today until just now. Yeah, so I don't remember exactly how I transitioned from this guy into a different guy. Now this one was a much different approach. He was terrifying. He was violent. He was taking the money, right? Scary guy. And at that point I was like, well, now I'm trapped. This is no longer me controlling where I go, who I'm seeing, what I'm doing. Like, cause at first I felt like in a sense I was in control of it. Even though I wasn't really safe. I was able to kind of pick and choose, and and I got to choose where I stayed and everything. And no options with this guy. I went where he put me. I saw who he saw fit. He set his quota for the day, whatever he was feeling like was needed to be met. And if I didn't meet it, I got my ass beat. Beat.
So that was a true pimp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was a very dangerous man. And he just took me to a place that was the beginning of, true manipulation and isolation at the hands of another person in my life. He saw that I was not in contact with my family, and I was not, I didn't really have. Oh, which is
taking advantage of that.
That's exactly what they want.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, he saw that was a weak point in my life, and he just sunk those claws in and just didn't let go. And he knew that I was too uncomfortable and too scared to reach out to my family. He knew I wouldn't do it. And he also played on the fact, like, he was a really scary person, and he used to threaten my family.
Threaten your family to you?
To me.
If you ever do X, Y, Z.
If you ever do this, I'll fucking hunt all of you down.
Right.
And I saw that man do some really, really terrible things to undeserving people. He made sure to keep that fear in me. He made it very clear that he had absolutely no limits. He was fresh out of prison. He lost his dad while he was in there, and he kind of went off the deep end, and he really made it clear that he was terrifying. And so that was a different experience. That went from being, like I said, kind of feeling like I was at least somewhat in control to.
How long did that last?
With this guy?
Mm-hmm.
This entire period of life only lasted about I think it was about a 2 or 3 year stint. It feels like a lifetime.
That's a lifetime.
No shit.
It feels like a lifetime.
I was looking for 2 to 3 months. Wow.
2 to 3 years of my life.
Wow.
From the time that I went to the tiki until the time that I,
So what, 21 to 24?
Oh, no. This is a long time ago. This is like 8 years ago. This isn't recent.
Okay.
So I've been out of I'll get to that, but this would have been in 2016, 15 or 16 until like 18 or 19. Okay. And so.
How old are you
now?
No, like
in that time
frame. It's early 20s.
Okay.
I mean, the progression of having my son.
So, no, I didn't mean 2021. I meant you.
Oh, my
21
age.
to 24.
Yeah. Yes. So they this guy was just, it was just scary. It was, and
how'd you get away from him?
Yeah, this is crazy. I think that one day he just decided he was done with me, and what he did is he beat me up because he would avoid my face intentionally, right? A lot of the times because I still had to look good online. But this day, all bets were off. He was beating the shit out of me. And I remember laying on the floor. He had taken me to his mother's house and was doing it there. And his mom was so scared of the way he had became. She ended up moving out of her fucking house because he had gone so far off the rails. But he had taken me there. I don't even remember what he was mad about. He beat me up so bad. I remember laying there thinking like, this might be it.
This is how I'm going.
Yeah. I remember laying there thinking like, this really might be it. And unfortunately, I didn't really have much of a relationship with God at that point in my life. You know, I'd been raised, I had gone to Catholic, gone through like the Catholic ceremonies. I'd gone through baptism, catechism, confirmation, you know, all that stuff. But I'd never formed a relationship with God. I feel like those are two very different things.
Very different.
Very.
I didn't trust in God. I didn't even necessarily believe in God. I was just going just to, you know, check the box. Like, yeah, I did it, you know. And so I remember thinking in that moment, this really might be it. And I didn't say, God help me, you know, but I remember thinking to myself, please do not let me die. And I didn't know who I was talking to or what I was talking to. I was just begging something or someone to please make this stop. And he ended up taking me outside and putting me in his car. He went over to another guy that we knew, his house. He was mad about something that had to do with this other guy. He broke that guy's arm right in front of me in the front of the car. And I was just beat to shit in the back seat. And then he drove into a parking lot, looked at me and said, don't ever get involved with somebody like me again. Kicked me out of the car and left. Never saw him again.
God damn, he had a little bit of guilt come in. No shit.
Yeah. So it was the weirdest thing. It was the most unexpected thing. It was almost immediately after I was begging to please make this stop. Like, don't let me die right now. It was almost immediately after he went and put me in the car. And so that was my first like moment of, okay, there might really be someone or something listening to me. Because there's absolutely no reason that should have stopped at that exact moment. Given his history, given everything, you know, I have no idea what happened right then.
This gave me chills. Wow.
Yeah. So, got away from him. And women that fall into any type of trafficking, just random little fact, they average 7 times before they finally get out of it, or they die.
Or they die.
7 times. Now, whether that be with different people or 7 times going back to the same abuser, whatever it is, the average is 7 times. I only did 3. So that was 1 and 2. But here I was again, no money. I had nothing. I had the clothes on my back that were bloody. I had nothing. And I was on the street again. I had no friends. I was completely isolated at this point because he had kept me away from even talking to anyone, you know. And I just walked my way over to, I don't remember where I went, but I went to a hotel. I think I went to one of the hotels in Modesto. And I saw people that I had ran into and known from before. And, you know, I was like, hey, you know, talking to them. And it's amazing how normal it is out there to see someone just beat to shit because nobody even asked me what happened.
Normal streets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nobody was like, hey, are you all right? You know, like I
you need help?
Yeah.
They knew what happened.
Pretty much. And so one of the girls that, I had met before was like, hey, you want to come in my room? She's like, you can shower and stuff. I'm like, all right, cool. So I went in and showered. But by the time I got out of the shower, she had called some of her friends in. And this isn't confirmed, but I do believe that she basically sold me to my third person, right? Because I got out of the shower and... Sorry.
You're fine, hon. Take your time.
I got out of the shower and I remember walking in there and they were being kind of weird and shady. They were kind of talking like under the table, you know, just very, very, just weird, kind of secretive. And I was like, what is going on, you know? And I was just uncomfortable. And the guy was like, hey, you know, and he's like, I can go get you a room. Like, I can help you out. I'm so sorry you went through this, you know? And I was like, all right, like, thank you.
Good cop, bad cop, good cop.
Yeah, I was thinking like, man, that's really, really nice of this person. Like, I was like, that's incredibly nice of you because I had nothing. And I was like, oh my God, you know? And so I just was hoping. And, you know, that's the problem with me is even in my worst of days, I never lost trust in people, you know, even today.
Wow.
I still trust people at their word, you know, and I still, I didn't let my experiences shift my view on humanity. So when someone tried to do something that was kind, I took it as something kind, you know, but it wasn't.
That is a bad attitude to have on the streets.
Yeah. Terrible. Terrible fucking attitude. And it wasn't just being kind, you know, but she had introduced us and she'd been like, this is my buddy, you know, this is my friend. And they were being really nice. We're sorry, you know, that you're like going through this. You look like you're struggling and whatever. And I remember we were leaving and he gave her money right in front of me, gave her money. And I was thinking like, wow, this guy's really nice. Like, he's giving her money. He's about to go get me a room. Like, fuck.
This guy must be rich.
Right. Well, no, I was just thinking like, wow, this might be like, you know how you get like those Robin Hoods, right? Yeah. Like the people that try to like kind of save the hood, right? Yeah. It was just something that I was like, okay, well, here we go, you know? And so he went and he did get me a room and he was incredibly nice to me. And he put me up in a room and he was, you know, we spent probably 2 months together of just hanging out. And him helping me and, you know,
were you using during that period of time?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was
using. He was getting you drugs
he
too?
He didn't do heroin. He did meth. He didn't do heroin and he wasn't a huge fan of it, but he continued to get it for me.
Of course.
He wasn't by no means trying to get me off of it, but he was, you know, not a fan, but he was by no means trying to get me off of it. So the ironic thing about this guy is him and I got to talking and he had gone to Houston High School a year before I started in Houston. He had been in a foster home. So we're making all these connections. And one thing I did do is I didn't trust people with my real story. I did learn that much to not confide in people like anything about me that was real other than my name. I gave them my name. I didn't have like a street name. But I didn't tell them where I was from. I didn't tell them any of that. But this guy got my trust after 2 months of being with someone all the time, you know, and he's being so kind. I started to trust him and I was like, you know, this is where I'm from. And this is, you know, like just telling him kind of my story, you know, like what I had gone through and shit. And we connected on a different level. And then one day it was very nonchalant, but he was like, hey, I don't have any more money. Like I'm out of money and I don't know what to do. And he brought it to me almost like he was brainstorming with me. Like, okay, how are we going to, you know, what are we going to do?
Making it your idea.
Yeah. Right. What are we going to do? I'm kind
of like the first guy I told you, you're sitting on a gold mine and what are you're kind of like, I can't believe you don't even know this.
Yeah. So he came and he was kind of just, you know, shooting ideas back and forth. He's like, well, I could go, you know, sell this or do that or whatever. And he's like, I don't want you to, and he even made it, I don't want you to have to do that again. Right. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, okay, thank you. You know, and he's like, I don't want you to ever feel like that again. I'm like, all right. And so then he really made me feel like it was my own offer, right? Like my own, like, oh, it's okay. Like I don't want to be on the streets. Like, you've been doing a lot for me. I will do this one time just to get us on our feet. And then, you know, we will figure it out from there. Right. And so I did it the one time. And, yeah, it was a weird transition. I don't know how it went from being that to being very dangerous again.
That same person?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Switched.
he was a different kind because I had actually started to like love and care about this person, right? And he had convinced me that he was in love with me.
Manipulator.
He was in love with me. And so a lot of times in the beginning, it was like, we're just doing this just to get that leg up so we can get out of this life. Like, we need to get out of this life. Like, that was always the hope that I was
the hook.
I'm just doing this just to get out of this life. And then we're going to live this beautiful life. And I'm like, okay. But he was a master manipulator. He got me vulnerable. He got me to trust him. He got me to fall in love with him, what I thought was love with him. And then he switched on me. And he was a different type of isolator. He took me all over, all over. We were never close to home, right? We were in Vegas. We were in LA, we were in San Francisco, we were, Sacramento, wherever we could be that was nowhere near anybody that I knew, is where we went. And just to give you an idea, this is so crazy. We were in Las Vegas. This just kind of goes to show how isolated I felt and how isolated you can feel in that position. We were there. I had a room at the Luxor during the mass shooting.
Oh.
At the Mandalay Bay. The Jason Aldean concert at Mandalay Bay. I didn't even know it had happened. And I was at a hotel within like a couple of blocks of it. And I was so focused in on trying not to get beat to death, right? Trying to appease this person that is absolutely just terrifying. Even conversations I would have with people were so superficial at this point that they'd never got into any sort of depth because I was so scared to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing or because he always had this like way of making me feel like he was watching me no matter where he was. He did enough just to make me feel like I always had eyes on me, so I was too scared to ever even try to do anything or anything, And that night, I remember hearing a lot of sirens, and he would get mass paranoia.
Methamphetamines.
He thought I had called the cops on him, so I almost died that night because he thought the cops were coming for him because of me. Yeah. And I was there for a few more days. Never knew that it even happened until like months later, after I finally, kind of broke free. But that just kind of goes to show you how could you be right there and not know? That is so isolated right there. That is so detached from reality, which is why it just felt so unreachable to get out of that situation,
So how did you get out of that?
So he and I landed in Modesto. One day he had to come back. He had a sister out here. He was trying to get something from his sister. And we landed back in Modesto, and he had left. I don't remember. We didn't have a room. We were kind of struggling. And he basically left to go somewhere. So him and I were split up, and I didn't have a phone because I of course, why would I have, he would never let me have a phone, right? Of course. So we got split up, and I ended up going over to a hotel and getting a room. And he apparently, in another one of his paranoias, thought that I had a room at a different hotel. He had brandished a firearm at the hotel, thinking I was in the room. And he got arrested. And I didn't immediately run because I was like, I'm terrified. I mean,
and where do you go?
And where do I go? I was scared. I was really scared. But then I was also in drug court at this time in my life. I had caught a charge for false impersonation. I had spent 12 days in jail under someone else's name. Random fact. I caught a false impersonation charge, and so I got drug court for it because it was like, obviously drugs kind of made me make that terrible decision. And I was attending drug court. So one of the days when I went into drug court, he had real court. And this is when drug court used to still be right across the street from the courthouse. Right. And so I went straight from drug court and I went in there to see where he stood in his trial because I wanted to know exactly, like, if he was going to be in there long enough for me to run, I was going to run. I didn't give a shit about drug court. I didn't give a shit about what I was leaving behind. I could not care less. I was getting the fuck away. And I went in there and he was getting held. He got brought in on the looking crazy, the chair with the thing and the face mask and all that crap, spit mask. Yeah, he was looking insane. And they brought him in and they continued to push it because he needed to see a psychiatrist to see if he was mentally competent to stand trial. And I knew that process took a minute. And so I went back to the hotel room that I had. I grabbed my stuff and I left. And I'm not going to go into much detail about where I went or anything. You left. I left.
Perfect.
I left and I never looked back. And I was very lucky to have found a place where I was able to finally catch a break and get my life on straight, And so I got off of the heroin at this point. The meth continued. And this was in, I think, 2018, 17 or 18. The meth continued for lots of reasons, partially because I was telling myself that I kind of needed it to continue to push on. But in reality, now looking back, I think it was my only way of coping. I was happy to be off the heroin, but that was the only way that I could feel safe to continue to run from this person at the time. Because it kind of made me forget about all of that. As soon as I would start to sober up, the fear of like this man getting out and finding me would start to sink back in. So I stayed high. And I continued to do everything that I continued to do. I got a job.
Were you in Modesto?
No, I was in Escalon at this point.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a job. I was doing, normal people things, paying my taxes. And I was like back to living kind of normal again, and safe and saving some money up and doing things that I needed to do. And as time went on, this person that used to be so scary and so big was no longer big and scary. He just kept getting a little bit smaller.
Yep.
And I started to be like, wow, like I'm going to be okay. He's not going to come after me. Even if he does, I'm not scared of him the way that I was, but I was still dealing with a lot of PTSD type things. So, but that didn't really start happening until quite a while down the road. I think the fear of him, the immediate fear of danger kept me out of that PTSD for some time. When I started to notice the PTSD sort of kick in was after I met
a guy.
I met a guy, right? And we got involved and I got pregnant again. I didn't know I was pregnant until I was in labor. Random fact. Yeah. That whole show, I didn't know I was pregnant. Yeah, I'd always thought it was bullshit. It's not. I had something called endometriosis growing up. Very irregular, not to get like too in depth, but I was my like monthly stuff was super irregular. I would go 9 months without having anything, and then it was not irregular for me to like not have a whole lot of
periods,
normalcy with my body, right? And so I hadn't had a period. I lost a ton of weight. I didn't gain weight. I had started working at a gym. I was cleaning a gym, so I got a free gym membership. So I started working out, right? And I lost weight. And she didn't move. Or if she did, I, thought it was like gas or something. I didn't get swollen feet. None of the telltale signs that I had when I had my son, not a single one came with my daughter. And so I went to the hospital and I went into the emergency room because I thought my endometriosis was coming back because it was this kind of the similar type of pain. And I got in there and they were like, okay, well, let's take you back to ultra, see what we can see if you have a cyst, if it's, what we can see on the ultrasound. And I went back there with the doctor. The doctor looked at me and I've never seen the color drain out of someone's face, right? I watched the color drain out of the ultrasound technician's face. And I was like, what's going on? And she's like, well, you're going to have to wait for the doctor. I can't tell you anything. Like, you're going to have to wait for doctor. And I'm like, no, what's going on? And she wouldn't tell me. And I got back in the room. And the doctor came in and she said, you're pregnant. And I said, oh. I said, how far along am I? She said, you're in labor.
Shit.
I was like, okay.
How big was the baby?
Little.
Yeah.
5 pounds. I mean, teeny little girl. Teeny. And she came, what they approximated to be about 3 weeks early. I had been smoking.
Yep.
I had been on drugs.
Right.
I had not taken prenatal vitamins. I had not seen a doctor. I had not done.
Why would you? You didn't know.
So then I had her, and then just this overwhelming sense of like, oh my God, like what the fuck did I just do to this kid? Like just guilt, love. I was like just immediately in love, but so guilty. I didn't have a car seat to take her home in. I didn't have anything at home for her. We didn't have clothes. We didn't have anything. And I was like, okay, so just very, 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 shocked. So I ended up getting her home, and, after having her is when PTSD started to kick in. I think I was hypersensitive to her safety. And I just was noticing
What did the father of this child think?
This is funny because you know him.
Yes, I do.
His immediate reaction, I called him and I said, hey, I'm in labor. He's all, oh, well, they're going up for adoption, period. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? And he's all, what do you mean? He's all, that's absolute. You're not bringing a child home. Like, that's not happening. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm not bringing it home to you, but I'm not giving my kid up for adoption. So, and his oldest daughter is the one that was like, kind of reeled him back into reality. I think it was just his instinct was just like, what the fuck, And she was like, what are you talking about? So she ended up bringing him down there. It was during COVID. So he was the only one allowed in the room. And then when he left, he couldn't come back. Like once they left, and he had to go get a car seat and shit. And so like I was there by myself with her for, the first day. Yeah, his reaction was not the greatest, right? And so I was like, well, it is what it is, I got her home, and that little girl I was just so, I think I had seen so much in my life at that point, and knowing she was a little girl, it was different. Like, I just became so aware of all of these traumas I hadn't worked through. I had just pushed aside, I was super, super hypersensitive to our surroundings all the time. I was finding myself in certain situations, like things would just trigger me and I would just get stuck back in a memory of, whatever memory it was. And I noticed, I think it was the worst one I noticed was when she was, she's probably about 2, maybe 3. And I was standing inside, and I don't even remember what it was that triggered me to kind of go into this, like, detached from reality, but I remember her being like, Mom, Mommy, and I don't even know how many times she had called my name, and I was just completely just not there, and then I would like snap back in and I would pick her up, and but it's just she was dealing with the aftermath of my traumas at that point. And
so sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, so how old is she? So how old is she now?
5.
5.
She's 5.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So you went back in. You went back out again then.
Yeah. No, I never
She
stopped.
never got sober.
Oh, okay.
Until
I had
6 months
never
ago.
stopped.
So holding the baby and all that stuff didn't bring you back into any kind of reality. Go
and
figure.
no like complications with her when she came out. She was,
No, she's
No,
amazing.
that's amazing.
She, talk
Blessed.
about a blessing.
Yeah.
Blessed.
She is intelligent little girl. I mean, she's beautiful and perfect in every way. No complications.
Thank God.
Say that again.
Thank God.
Yeah.
So what got you
Sober?
Yeah, what got you sober? Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Because the baby didn't.
No. I got deathly ill for no apparent reason. So I had been staying, at this point I was justifying it because I was running back and forth from hospital trip to hospital trip, and I was like, I gotta keep up. I was just exhausted all the time. Right?
Gotta have the meth.
Just justifying, rationalizing, telling myself everything was fine, and like it just was not. But I got really, really, really sick one day at work, throwing up bad, no idea what happened. And I went to my parents' house. By the time I got to my parents' house, I had passed out in the front seat of my car with the door open. It was raining.
So
the
you
neighbors.
mended relationship with your parents at this point?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
we
so-
skipped over that.
Yeah, you're right. No, after I had kind of turned my life around and I was
Okay.
kind of up and coming again, my mom's mom passed away.
Okay.
And I found out about it. And
So you got to have a relationship with your son again.
no, my parents don't have my son anymore. That's one of those things that I have the information to where my son is. He's within the family, but I haven't had the guts to have that conversation with my mom as to why she doesn't still have him. I've made this up in my own head to, I think, cope with it. I do believe that she probably got him because he was probably in danger because of his dad's family. They were crazy and they were relentless and they would not have given up. And if my parents were holding him from them, I could only imagine the threats, the bullshit they were dealing with. So they probably gave him to, it's a very close family friend of ours. They live in Escalon. And my parents are still very much involved in his life, but they don't have him anymore.
Okay.
So you're sick. You're really sick.
I'm really sick. I'd gone over to my parents' house, and I ended up getting hospitalized, and they were testing me for meningitis, just all kinds of shit. I was super sick. And my mom works for Sutter, and so she was just on the shit on top of it. She created a whole online page for me before I even I was sleeping, and she had gone and she was trying to get all my lab work and everything, and this is not funny, but this is kind of funny looking back. When I went in, I had my shit on me, right? Because I always had my shit on me. I had my pipe, I had my dope, I had my stuff, because I was never going to leave it at home, right?
Nope.
So I had it on me, and so I put it inside of this patient belongings bag, but my mom was coming in and she kept going through my stuff to try to get me my phone or get me my whatever, and I'm like, my mom's going to find that shit. So I took it out of there and I put it in my pillowcase. And I woke up one night to the nurse coming in my room, and she went to fluff my pillow.
Oh boy.
And all over the floor. And at that point, what am I going to say? Of course.
Up.
Even still, I was like, who the hell are you letting in my room? You guys need better staff. Still trying to keep up this lie, right?
Wow.
Just insanity. And finally I was like, and so then they were requiring a toxicology report. Like they needed me to pee in a cup. So I started flipping out. I called my daughter's dad, was like, come get me the hell out of here. I cannot have
Reality's
my parents.
coming.
Right. I can't have my parents
Reality's
because
coming.
in my mind, the way I was thinking is I cannot lose my daughter too.
Mm-hmm.
That was immediately where my mind went. And if my parents found out and they knew that I had been lying, I was so scared. And so I just was, I was hiding and lying, and everything, shit just hit the fan, and shit came to a point, and it just was what it was. And so I ended up, my mom came in the room, and I don't know how she found out, because I held my pee for like almost 24 hours. I refused to go pee. So I don't know how she found out, but she found out, and she came in and she just started crying, and she just gave me a hug, and she said, it's going to be okay. And I was like, Mom, I can't lose her too. I cannot lose her too, my daughter. And she said, I would never. She said, you are not the same person you were. You are not the same place you were. She said, you just need help.
It sounded like maybe she wasn't the same person at that point.
Absolutely.
Both.
Yeah.
Probably.
Absolutely.
That's what
So
I'm
is
saying.
that when you came in the rooms? Because that's when I had met you first. You're brand new.
Yeah,
brand new. She came to my Thursday.
Yeah.
Big book study. Brand new.
Yeah.
See, hey,
Yeah.
Are you done?
I'm done. Go ahead,
Fucking guy.
So I went.
dude. But it was awesome because she was so fun.
Yeah, I went straight to the. I went from the hospital. I stayed in the hospital about a week and went straight out to First Steps in Clovis.
Okay.
And I did a 30-day inpatient because I knew I needed the inpatient because I had a lot of stress factors at home that I needed to just be able to forget about and go and take care of me for a little bit because I wouldn't have done it at home. So I went over there and I did my 30-day, got out, and immediately hit the ground running with shopping for a home fellowship. And I found Oakdale, and man, I just
Thursday night, big book
Welcome
study.
home. Welcome home.
felt right at home when I found
So
it.
never at any point did you think about going into an NA?
You know, I had gone into NA after my Nirvana trip.
Uh-huh.
And it was a bad experience. I had a couple of guys try to 13th step me, and then I had someone try to sell me drugs after the meeting, and I was like, And to be honest, the people, I feel like
Say it, preach it.
this is no offense to NA in any way, shape, or form, and if it works for people, I'm more than happy for them. But I was trying to find a room where people were living lives that I wanted to live like, if that makes sense. And NA to me capped out at it just capped out at a different level than AA. I feel like AA really lives in the solution, and it really it's just more about hey, we're really bettering ourselves as people. It's not like sitting in the bullshit that we were in, No,
and I can appreciate that because we've spoken to NA people. We've had to have them, we offered them to come on here and to share their side of the NA, and the two people that we've invited to come on here, they backed out the last minute because they didn't want to get. They didn't want to. They thought it was going to get into a debate, and it's like, listen, it's never a debate. We're all sober, right?
Yeah.
Tell me why you're sober through NA. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, no, for sure. I didn't really, the couple of ones that I went to, I had that experience. And then I just didn't feel like anybody in there was living as, I was looking for people that were living happily. And I didn't get that vibe. And it could have just been the one I went to.
Yeah. I mean, it could, it doesn't matter. The thing is you're in recovery and you're in a good place and you're happy there. Yeah, right. Exactly. Whether that's NA, AA, fucking goat farm. It doesn't
because when
matter.
she came in, because I was there the first day she came in, was it my Thursday night big book study? One of those. Anyway, but she was ready to do it. I mean,
she's willing.
She had the willingness, the desire.
We talked about that before.
That you can't do anything without it, no matter where you go.
Before we started recording, your willingness was just wide open. That's why you were saying your first sponsor, you needed to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I was the same way when I first met Rob. I needed to go, and my sponsor just wasn't doing it. Right. And I had to do something different. And that different was getting a different sponsor. And you had to do the same thing.
Yeah. I had that window of willingness was closing for me.
It happens
Thank
quickly.
you for that. Yeah.
It was closing for me, and I felt it happening. And that's when I really got scared because I was like, wow, I'm going to run out of these rooms if I don't fucking get someone that's going to help me right now. You know?
Thank you, Christy.
I know that feeling.
But Christy had the same thing.
Right.
She took action.
Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah.
And so she sees that.
Yeah. Man, Christy.
And she's had a life. She's amazing.
Absolutely.
She's had a life.
Absolutely. I never told Christy
story.
anything that, when we
You guys have a lot of similarities.
We do.
Yeah.
It's funny how God works and puts things
We
together.
do. Well, and I loved Christy from the very first meeting I went to, but I didn't think she was sponsoring. And I don't know why I didn't ask, but I was just kind of more Christy was my buddy. Christy was my friend immediately, but I just didn't think to ask her to sponsor me. And then whenever I got jealous because I heard she was sponsoring another lady, another girl. And I'm like, oh, you sponsor? And I'm like, hey. And so I kind of jumped in. I was her second line.
And it's funny that you guys look a lot alike too. That's the funny thing about it. And, anyways,
well, they have the same light.
The same light to them, for sure. And you're going to help her. You probably get him because she loves to get involved with the dances and she loves all that extracurricular stuff.
Oh, yeah, I'm there for it. I told her next year prom committee, I'm on it, period.
Nice. So, anything else you want to bring up in there? Anything else you want to bring up?
There's something I want to know.
Yeah. How did I get this?
Yes.
Nothing to do with any of the stories I just told
shit.
you. No, well, it did have to do with drugs for sure.
Did you fall down?
Yeah. Do you know Jacob Myers?
Yeah.
You know the giant rope swing that's just up the rope?
Just up the river, yeah.
Well, it used to be until my dad cut it down. Yeah, we used to go on it all the time. We would like go. It was like a regular thing to do. And one day I had a weird feeling about it. And the guy that I was dating, the first guy that his dad was a meth head or whatever, kicked a rock and he's all, go. He was standing up at the top on High Street and he kicked a rock and the rock came straight for me and I went face first down that whole cliff. That was nasty. This hand was touching this elbow.
Oh.
They have a case study on me. I have all metal. I don't have bones from like here to here. It's all metal. Otherwise, I would have been an amputee. It was crazy. Crazy story.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
And this may get too deep. And if it is, tell me. Well, it's a little different. Feeling the love of a man, is that something that you've been able to get past?
No.
Okay.
So I went for someone that, and I haven't said his name, so I can say this. I went for someone that is completely emotionally unavailable.
Okay.
I have never been able to. Now maybe, but I had to get to a point where I was okay with if it did happen or if it didn't happen. I was okay.
Right.
I wasn't going to try to force anything to come about, and I certainly wasn't going to. I feel like if something falls in my lap, fantastic. If not, I'm happy.
Okay.
Like I am okay.
Good for you.
You know.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You're not chasing it.
No. And I don't.
Your sobriety is good enough right now.
Absolutely. My sobriety and my relationship that's building with my daughter is huge right now. And that's really my main focal point. I don't feel like I need to complicate it with
You're
anyone.
going to school, aren't you?
No, I'm not going to school right now. Okay. But I did just have, I just had a interview at the Lakes Treatment Center and I got a job offer. So I might take it.
Doing? The Lakes, buddy.
Just resident assistant. It's an entry-level position.
Right.
But her and I had a conversation and I told her, I said, look, I can start out at entry level, but I have to be able to support me and my daughter. You know, I can't stay at entry level. Right. That's not what I'm looking for. So her and I had a really good conversation and she was really excited to at least get my foot in the door, you know, kind of go from there. Right. So, I mean, I would love to do that.
I drive by there every day.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Going from Table Mountain to going from plant to plant. That's my background. Beautiful
out there.
Yeah, they're spoiled rotten.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
They get spoiled rotten.
All right. Well, what?
Nothing, Dad. I'm good.
You started to say something.
No, I didn't.
Oh my God, Stephanie, that was a joy. I appreciate it. Thank you for doing that for us. Right, the listeners. If you want to reach out to Stephanie, you can always reach out to us. That was painful.
I have a daughter right now in college.
It's brutal for me to listen to. It's brutal for me to listen to the fact that and you know what? You guys said something before, and I wanted to bring this up too. You said something before we started recording that Vintage Fair is a real hot spot for. Can you explain
sex
that?
Trafficking.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
Me?
Yeah.
So Vintage, you know, I don't want to scare you guys because you guys are both fathers of girls that are.
This is knowledge.
This is learning.
My wife's into this.
Right.
I wouldn't pinpoint any one location. When I say that this is everywhere, it is everywhere.
Yeah.
It's in Waterford. It's in Riverbank. It is anywhere you look. And it's unfortunate because it's hard to get a handle on it from a law enforcement perspective because if you would have seen any one of my online postings, I would have 100% looked like a willing participant, right? And you would have came to my door and you would have never known that I was scared shitless because I couldn't do that because then I wouldn't get your money. I couldn't give it to him and I would have got my ass beat, right? So all these men are paying into an industry that they think is completely by choice and innocent and, you know, whatever. Like they think it's just like a good time. But the reality is there are so few that are on there by choice, you know, and there's so many that are underage and there's so many that are, you know, it is a very, very dark industry, That's
sad.
And it's happening everywhere.
And what makes Vintage Fair
what makes me...
It's right by the freeway.
Yeah.
They grab them, freeway, they're gone. Many directions.
100%.
What scares me is your story about your background and your family that you really had. You really had...
You're my daughter.
Yeah.
You're raised like my daughter.
Yeah.
By all rights, you had a great upbringing. Absolutely. You didn't have any brokenness. You didn't... Nothing. Oh, you know the other question, what about your real dad?
So he's passed from cirrhosis of the liver. Fairly recently. I just found that out, actually. My mom and I were having a conversation one day. She said that he had reached out and he had wanted to get back in contact with me. And my mom was really not sure how to handle it because she said, I didn't know where you were mentally. I didn't know if you could handle that.
Gotcha.
So that was just couple years ago. But he passed. But yeah, no, upbringing was yeah.
I think that's the part that's scary. Right. This drug, everything.
Anybody.
So, and absolutely the drugs, and specifically the industry, I was the perfect target.
Yep.
They don't go after girls that were raised in the streets that wouldn't call their bullshit on them, you know? It's sad, but that's
just... They had leverage with you.
100%. And I was so naive. And just lacked any sense of street smarts, and I trusted people, and all of those things that you don't find for people that are street smart, you know? That's the unfortunate part about it, is the women that are being targeted are girls like me.
Right.
You know, are women like your guys' daughters. Like, sickening. And a lot of online. Online is the really scary part right now.
I mean, is this like, okay, again, I'm not on any social media. Is this like the dark web stuff that you hear about? I
don't know. No. This is happening
right out in the open, brother.
Yeah, this is happening right on, this is happening on, what's that? Oh, gosh. It's like a gaming chat room platform. I don't do gaming, but it's Discord.
I don't know.
It's just a chat room platform, right? And they are...
Like for people to play games.
But they are grooming young women. I just met, and I'm not going to go into detail again, of course, but I met with a young girl last week that was absolutely getting groomed to be sex trafficked and had no clue.
Wow.
She's 16.
Did you help her?
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm as best I can.
I got you.
What? And I mean, I don't fully understand, but like, what's the difference between prostitution and sex trafficking?
Sex trafficking is absolutely, you are being forced. And it's weird because I actually went through the program without permission. I knew I had a bunch of trauma that I needed to work on. And they specifically work with, it's the CSED program, so Commercial Sexual Exploitation Diversion Program. I learned a lot in there. So they would even consider, they call it the game, right? So the game is anyone that is selling sex, right? Commercially, right? And so the traffickers, they categorize them in a lot of different forms. So there is the different types of pimp. There's the boyfriend pimp, which would have been like my third one. There is the gorilla pimp, which would have been like my second one. There is the, I don't remember all of the names, but there's a lot of different ways that people go about manipulating women into doing this. But they also have different streams of influence. They have the media. Like, let's be honest. You listen to like Cardi B's songs or anyone, you listen to this stuff and it's like encouraging women to like do these things and normalizing it, And so I don't know that there's, I guess, prostitution versus sex trafficking. I don't know.
Would it be, because during the number 2, you had no power. You were getting none of the cut. You were just the,
I was just the moneymaker.
Yeah.
I was literally going to use
the first one. You were doing it for yourself.
The first one was
would be more prostitution. The second 2 would be more sex trafficking.
Yeah. And that's what I would have said until I went into that class and they said even the first one from a like a justice standpoint would have been considered trafficking because that gentleman had planted that seed. That would still get him in trouble in the face of the law.
But the other 2, you were kind of just a commodity.
The other 2, I was just, like a object, essentially, yeah.
My last question was, do you think, and there's a lot of like studies around it with like sexual assault and stuff like that, and what kicks it off, but do you feel like that was the baseline of what was to come?
MJC.
At MJC. Just because there's statistics where it's like if your mom was assaulted, you're at a higher chance. If you get assaulted, you're at a higher chance to happen 2 to 3 more times during your lifetime.
So I don't know that was necessarily a connection. At least not one that I had made.
Like consciously, maybe?
Maybe not consciously. Yeah. But I do, my life certainly wouldn't have spiraled the direction it did had that not happened.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't have been in that situation in the first place where I was at that desperate point, you know? So, I mean, yeah, in a sense, I haven't really made like the connection directly, you know, but it very well may have been because there was that extra sense of like self-consciousness and loss of self-worth.
Yes, no value.
I had no value.
And that's what they prey upon.
And that is what they saw. And they, you know, and I just was so low. And that was the stem point, like the starting point for all of that for me. Yeah. So, I mean, in a sense, yeah, I think they are connected.
Yeah, that's that. You know, we went from, and I appreciate it. You know, the Recovery Unfiltered went to a little different way with this one, right? Yeah. And I'm happy we did. I'm not disappointed. No, we never have. And you know what? Anytime we can bring light to something like that, I'm completely.
You got daughters. I have daughters.
Yeah, I mean, but it also the recovery of you coming out of it,
Absolutely.
right? That you're going to have a great path of helping other people. You know what, Heather, that was in here once before with John, I told her the same thing. Please get involved. Please get involved because your story is going to help people. You know, I love to do what we do, what Rob and I do, because this came as a calling for me. This is what I want to do. This is how, whether it brings out what you did or just, you know, alcoholic or whatever it is, we're bringing some of this stuff to light.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you want to reach out to Stefani, you can reach out to us, Recovery Unfiltered Podcast at gmail.com. That's Recovery Unfiltered Podcast at gmail.com. So don't be afraid to reach out. If you want to get in touch with her, we will get in touch with her for you. All right. Guess what? We're going to come back and do another episode with Stefani. And then the next one is going to be a little bit lighter, though.
Yeah. This one was heavy.
Thank you for joining us today.
We hope you learned something today that will help you.
If you did not, come back next week and we'll try again.
If you like what we heard, give us a 5-star review. If you don't like what you heard, kiss my... You can't say that, can you? Anyway, if you don't like what you heard, go ahead and tell us that too. We'll see what we can improve. We probably won't change nothing, but do it anyway.
Hey, thanks, Rob. Come back next week and hopefully something will be different and something will sink in. Take care.
This has been Recovery Unfiltered.